All right, so let's go ahead and start. Welcome. This is a short panel, socially non-distancing furries in VR. We're going to do a quick chat about VR options for furries. Not necessarily VR chat, but that is going to be the focus at the end. We're going to talk about some hardware. We're going to talk about some myths. We're going to talk about some different opportunities you have to explore, and maybe not necessarily furry. Maybe some of them have furry possibilities, but we'll go through those and we'll have some questions at the end. And if there's any time left, since I was having technical difficulties, we'll let Chicken Noodle take over and run around like a maniac, which is what he does. All right. So this is, instead of doing a real presentation, I decided to be creative and do it all in game. So let's see how that works. Intro to VR. Oh, I suppose I should introduce myself. My name is Reveille, or as a protogen, my name is Strawberry. See the strawberry? This is my husband, Chicken Noodle, otherwise known as Emo Bird. I guess the camera's over there. I should talk that way. Yes, there we go. So let's do a quick intro here. I want to start with some myths and misconceptions. I have to pronounce that very carefully because I like to say myth conceptions. So there's a lot of things out there. People say this, that, and the other about VR. You need this, you need that. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. I'm going to go through a couple of these and we're going to talk about them and just discuss some of those preconceptions. Oops. Let me hit reset because I'm flailing all over the place still because there is no 6. Number 1. VR is horribly expensive. It can be. VR can be as much money as you want to put into it. It can also be done on a budget. There are lots and lots of options. If you have the money to dump into it, it becomes like any other hobby. Go crazy, be wild, or if you want to do it on the cheap, you can get perfectly adequate setups for very reasonable prices. We'll go over some of those possibilities later. Segueing into that is that you need an amazing computer. You need a just mighty computer with a GeForce. What did I write? 50 trillion, I think. Whatever. I think that's the new line, right? The 50 trillion. It's got all the gigaflops. Not exactly true. A lot of that is dependent on the headset. If you go for high resolution, high refresh rate, yes, you do need some massive hardware. You do need something that's just going to crush the competition. But if you're going low end, if you're going to go cheap, if you're going to do an Oculus, if you're going to do an old Vive, if you're going to do a Windows mixed reality headset, you don't need that. You can run it on a laptop. You can run it on a laptop that's 5 or 6 years old, maybe even longer, maybe even older. No problem. You don't need an amazing system. Does it help? Probably. Myth number 3, you need huge amounts of room, just huge amounts of room. Well, again, you can use huge amounts of room if you have it. I think the average quote unquote room scale is about 6 foot by 6 foot. That's what they like to have. But a lot of people do this from the chair, from their office chair. And if you're not running full body, then you don't need to stand up. It's fun to stand up and move around and such, but you don't have to. You don't need a lot of room. You can squeeze this stuff into just tiny little spaces. And number 4, the VR pukes. Let's talk about motion sickness. A lot of motion sickness is going to have to do with the delay between what you see, what you do with your hands, and what your brain is processing. Different headsets are going to react differently. A higher refresh rate is going to get you a little more sync in between what you're seeing in your brain. A cheaper one, maybe you can deal with it, maybe you can't, but a lot of that is going to be dependent on your physiology and the person. You can tune that, you can tweak that. The headsets these days are much better. They are so much better than they used to be. That said, know yourself. If you start to feel nauseous, step away. Do not be brave. Do not be macho. Do not say, oh, I got this. As soon as you start to feel queasy, it will get worse and it will last hours. And you're done. You're done. And you'll lay down and you'll be miserable and you say, I'm never doing VR again. I warn you. So they are real, but they can be mitigated. And myth number 5. I'm not a gamer. VR is useless. Well, there's a lot of opportunities for virtual reality experiences that are not related to gaming. VR chat is a game, but it's also a social platform. Neos is a social platform. You have other things like what's that art program from Google? There's a great art program from Google. Oh, let me click this button, see if I can see it. Tiltbrush. Tiltbrush is the great art program from Google. I've seen people pull in entire art projects into VR chat directly from Tiltbrush, and they look amazing. Great place for artists. We're going to talk about some other opportunities later on that are not exclusively games, but there are applications in the fields of engineering, in art, in music, a lot of stuff that you can do with VR. It's really just limited by your imagination and I guess by what software is available, of course. But let's be fancy and optimistic, right? All right. Now we get to the fun part. Hardware wars. Nice echo, yeah, that's good. I like it. So this is a twitchy subject. Anytime hardware is involved, people get very invested. Now, we talked earlier about cheaper headsets, more expensive headsets, expensive hardware. This is where a lot of the money starts coming in, where price becomes a real issue. Now, like I said, you can dump tons of money into this and you can get the biggest and the best, but you don't have to. So I'm not going into details or specs. You can use Google just as well as I can and look up the numbers and write them down in a spreadsheet and go crazy over them. We're going to use a more simplified sort of rating system. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Oh, and by the way, thank you, Chicken Noodle, for the presentation artwork. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So, first of all, let's make a distinction between inside out versus outside in terms of your headset or HMD, your head-mounted display. There are two methodologies here. There's the inside out, which starts with the cameras in the headset. The cameras will map your play space, and all of your motions will be calculated based on the accelerometers and gyroscopes in the headset versus all of the mapping that it's done around you. Your controllers are also being mapped by those cameras, and they're constantly talking back and forth to see where they are. It's very compact. It doesn't require cables everywhere. Basically, you end up with two cables. You end up with a USB/power cable and a video cable, usually HDMI or a DisplayPort. Those are your only cables for inside out. Very nice, very compact, very, very portable. The problem with that is that if you decide you want to lay on the beach and go just put your hands behind your head, you can't put your hands behind your head because there's no cameras back there. Now, that's not a bad thing, but when you think about some of the games that are out there, some of the things you want to do, you might be moving back there, and that could be a problem, but probably not. That's up to you, the user. You need to just figure out if that's something you're okay with. The other thing you're not going to be able to do out of the box with those is full body. You're not going to be able to do the hip trackers and leg trackers and do all the flip kicks and fancy things and fall over and hurt yourself, which I don't know, maybe that's okay. There are hacks. I'm not going to get into those, but you can make it work. Now let's talk about outside in. Outside in is the trackers. Outside in is the original Oculus. It's the Vive. It's the Index. You've got sensors all over the place. Chicken Noodle and I share a giant living room, and we have 3 sensors in 3 places across the room to control our pucks. Now he's running on a original Oculus and I'm running on an Index. So he's running a hack now to do his full body. But we have to have power cables running to all of these from all these things. So there's extra cords. And then we've got cords for the headsets and keyboards and all sorts of stuff. So it can get very messy, but the rhetoric says it's more sensitive, and of course you get the full body. So those two are things you need to you need to consider when you're thinking about a headset. So let's go into the actual headsets. I'm not going to cover everything. We don't have time for that. And honestly, I don't know everything about all of them. I have not owned all of these headsets, but I've watched way too many videos and talked to way too many people and listened to way too many other folks in VR chat usually either praise, hate, or throw things at each other about these. So let's dive right in with the famous Index. Here is our rating system. We rate in cheese wedges. So the Index has a pretty good resolution. It's not the best, but it's pretty good. It's about it's about even with the it's pretty good. We'll just go with that. The refresh is very good. Now, once you combine the resolution with that high refresh, you are going to need a little bit faster hardware to support that. So you can run it at a lower refresh rate, and it will be just fine. Field of view. Field of view is very important. Field of view is what's going to give you that realistic feeling as the lenses inside of these focus very close to your eyes. The Index's is very wide. It's very realistic. It's very nice. I want to give special mention to the Index's built-in sound system. The headphones are amazing. I don't know what they did. I don't know what black magic they're using, but they're fantastic. They don't touch your ears. They project this sound field so you can hear everything around you, but everything is very crisp and clean. The microphone, fantastic. One of the best microphones I've used, and I'm a musician, so this is a very good microphone. It's shocking how good it is. Comfort. Word on the street is they did a lot of research into eye comfort, and it shows. The eye strain on this thing is very minimal. I use glasses and I use contacts. I swap between the two. The other nice thing is that if you don't want to use contacts, you can get inserts made, or you can 3D print them yourself, and you go to Zenni.com or any of the other glasses manufacturers, and you say, I want this set of glasses. You pop the lenses out, you pop them into the frame, and you put the frame inside the Index. You don't have to wear glasses inside the Index. It's magic. Some of the other headsets are doing that now too. It's pretty cool. If that was a blocker for you, maybe check into that. The big problem with the Index, and I didn't write down availability here. That's the other big problem. People are waiting about 8 weeks for them, although that changes now and then. My tongue keeps sticking out. It's about $1,000 for the full kit. That's 2 lighthouses, 2 controllers, and 1 headset, and a waiting line, and a 2-month waiting line. So, bit steep. Let's go on to the next one. Hi there.
Hello.
The next one is the HTC Vive and the HTC Vive Pro. Now these are the old folks in the market. The Vive was out a long time ago. Very good headset, very reliable. It's pretty average, middle of the road in terms of resolution and refresh and field of view. It's still good. The Vive Pro especially. Now the big problem is that HTC has said they're going to stop making the Vive and start focusing on corporate. We don't really know details about that. That's a very recent announcement. They had another headset called the Cosmos, which released to horribly negative reviews. I didn't even look that one up because I think they abandoned ship on it. It's actually pretty sad. So maybe you could pick one up for cheap and be okay with it. I don't know. HTC Vive Pro is also an outside-in, uses sensors, and it's the HTC pucks are what everybody uses for their full motion. Well, most everybody. Good headset and readily available used, because a lot of people are dumping them to go to Index or some of the other ones. Let's talk about the Oculus, everybody's favorite thing to hate. Why? Because of Facebook. Now, I'm not going to tell you if you should have an Oculus or not. Anybody with an existing Oculus account is going to be able to log in through their Oculus account and not their Facebook account until 2023. Anybody who is new to that ecosystem has to log in through Facebook. Are you okay with Facebook? Oculus is a great option. The new Quest 2, I think, is $300. and it's a good headset. The specs are great. I've heard of a couple issues about comfort, but it's small, it's compact, it's standalone or PC. You don't have to use it using the Android OS that's built in. You can plug it into your computer and use it like any other headset. The frame rate, the display, the FOV, very on course with the offerings from everybody else. Great price. So if you're okay with Facebook, definitely look at an Oculus. Let's talk about the new player in the field. Well, it's not really new. This version is new. HP released the Reverb last year, and it was okay. It was an okay headset. There were comfort issues, there were compatibility issues, and the specs were honestly kind of low. Earlier this year, they announced the HP Reverb 2, and the reviews are coming in for it, and they're spectacular. I pre-ordered one already for Vermin to replace his CV1. Very high resolution. I think they're 2K per eye, so you're getting a 4K display between the two. The Oculus is only 1440. I know I said I wasn't going to do specs, but whatever. Very good resolution. The refresh isn't as high as the Oculus. I think it's about 90, so it's pretty middle of the road. And the FOV, while better than the Oculus, is not as good as the Valve. The price is about $600 for the headset and 2 controllers. Now, Valve, Microsoft, and this is a Windows mixed reality headset, by the way, so you do have to go through Microsoft service, but Valve, Microsoft, and HP all work together to ensure maximum compatibility with this thing, and it uses the same sound system that the Index uses, and I think the harness, the head harness, is derived from that. The other nice thing is that the controllers are based around they are visually based around the Oculus controllers. One of my favorite things about the Oculus was the controller. They're very intuitive, solid, and they were very reliable. Index controllers are wonderful. You get to do all these fancy things with your fingers. Can you see that? Let me go a little closer. All these fancy finger things. Ooh. But they're made of eggshells. It's kind of frustrating. Oh, I forgot. I should wear my FC logo. Haha! Yay, further confusion. Anyway, HP Reverb, reasonable price, pretty good specs. I think it's gonna put some heat on Valve. Nope, wrong button. There we go. Pimax. Pimax is the headset that no one's heard of. Pimax is the undisputed king of resolution. Pimax has, well, they have 2.5 headsets. They have a 5K version and an 8K version. The 8K version is 2 4K displays, one in each eye. Their FOV is something like 200, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's outrageous, and it's priced to match. Very expensive, very high refresh, very high FOV, very high resolution. No headphones. There's a plug for headphones. Doesn't come with headphones. Does come with a microphone. I don't know if the microphone or headphones are any good, but that resolution, so good. It also uses the Valve Index sensors, the lighthouses. So it is also an outside-in headset, and as such, it uses the Valve controllers. And ostensibly, you could use Vive controllers as well. And let's move to the final entry. Let's turn that off. Windows Mixed Reality. Now, the Reverb is also a mixed reality, but the Reverb is newer and is part of a partnership and sort of stands apart from the current Windows Mixed Reality offerings. Now, the mixed reality offerings are very sort of small manufacturers, very low-end hardware, sort of adequate controllers. You're not going to find anything super fancy. Most of them are inside out, so they have built-in cameras and built-in tracking, usually 2 right on the front. Very cheap, but very adequate. If you want to get in as cheap as possible, as compatible as possible, WMR is a safe bet. You can usually find them in the bargain bin at Best Buy for $200 or less. No problem. They're good headsets. I've got several friends that use them. No complaints. You don't need to have super hardware to enjoy VR, to experience VR. all you need is the stereoscopic vision, and you just lose yourself. It's that simple. And what do we think of all these? What do we think of all of this? We think cheese because we all like cheese, right? Right? Anyone? Anyone? Chicken Noodle likes cheese. Ah. Oops. Oh no. Let's do a reset there. I fixed it. I fixed it. So let's talk about some of they're not furry specific options, but there are potentially furry social opportunities out there in VR that are not VR chat, that are not Neos. So let's bring those up real quick. We'll go through them real fast, and I'll just give you a little blurb about each of them. Oops, that one, and then that one. So I don't know. Where did what is this? Okay, okay. You're muted. I can't hear anything you're saying.
Oh, that's probably for the best. But it was a good vacation and a lot of Mai Tais. Yeah, I put on a little bit of stuff.
Okay, well let's move on. Let's move on. Thanks, Chicken Noodle. That's great. Okay, so
no, see, that's embarrassing. I was very sunburned, really sunburned right there. Can we just? You probably shouldn't actually be watching this right now. It's a little bit inappropriate right now. Maybe next slide.
I'm working on it.
Next slide.
Okay, so back to it. Let's talk about these opportunities. The first one is big screen.
Look at this screen.
Look at this screen. It's giant.
I mean, this here is a quality screen. This is a quality screen. I mean, it's not level or square or actually OSHA approved, but it is a quality screen.
Actually, it's kind of lumpy.
It is a little lumpy. Yeah, it tastes great though.
We'll actually talk about this set in a few moments here, but can I continue now?
Yes. I'm just gonna lick the TV.
Okay, you do that. Big Screen. Big Screen is an application that allows you to spend time with your friends in a virtual movie theater, virtual living room, virtual cabana, whatever you want to do. They got like 20 different settings. Supposedly it supports Vudu, and it's a Paramount property, so you can rent movies from Paramount. A new thing they added in June, I think it was, is that you can, if you and your friends all have the same movie file for some strange reason, you can all watch the same movie, sort of like Netflix does with the group viewing. But you're all in VR and you're all sitting there with your little avatars enjoying yourselves. I don't know that you can do furry avatars, but you can still sit there and watch movies, and it syncs everything together. And they also do rocket launches, they do concerts. It's a lot like Fathom events. Do we all remember those from those mythical movie theaters that we had in the time before time?
Like 6 months ago?
Yeah, something like that.
Man, I don't remember that.
Big screen, great option. Rec Room. Rec Room is a party game. Rec Room is make a silly little avatar and play dodgeball, play paintball, play tag, all sorts of crazy stuff in VR. Not specifically furry, but it still can be fun for some little low effort, low stress. Rec Room. There is always Steam VR Home and Oculus Home. Those are built into both Steam VR and Oculus. You can create your own little home. You can go to other people's homes. You can socialize with them, talk about things, make friends with your Steam buddies out there. It's there, which I've tried it. It's not too bad, but I mean, something. Oops. Let's fix that. Sorry, I'm so used to just adjusting my play space without thinking about it. But yeah, that's another option. AltSpace VR is pretty interesting. AltSpace is geared. It feels like it's geared toward corporate environments for running their events. Virtual Burning Man was held through Altspace VR. I didn't attend personally. There were some collective worlds inside of VR chat that I went to the burn for. Super neat. But Altspace gave the Burning Man organization an opportunity to offer a virtual temple, a virtual burn, all sorts of neat stuff through that platform. So it's very flexible, and a lot of they're constantly updating it, constantly new events. So check them out. Go check out their webpage. It's pretty neat. Minecraft. Who doesn't love Minecraft? I see a few hands out there.
I don't see any hands.
Well, you don't have Zoom up. I do.
Oh.
I was making that up. I didn't see any hands. I only see like 6 people on there. So, Minecraft VR, kind of mind blowing. Going in this game that you usually play from a screen and with a mouse, and seeing it all around you. Pretty cool. Check it out.
Mind blowing.
Mind blown. I get it. Finally, there's Township Tale. Township Tale is a free pre-alpha, massively multiplayer virtual reality. Oh my god, how many buzzwords can I rattle off? It's a new game where you go out, you play a class, or you don't play a class, and you build stuff, and you make a village, and you talk to people. Supposedly, there are avatar mods for furry characters. There's apparently a Protogen mod. I don't know much about it. I haven't joined it yet, but I keep hearing about it, and it's one of those, oh, I'll check that out. Oh, I'll check that out. Oh, I'll check that out. Every time I look it up, there's more stuff about it. So they're growing, they're improving. Definitely put that on the list for something to watch. I think they've also got a Kickstarter, and you get fancy things if you want to join up with that. All right, so let's move on to some of the 2 ostensibly most furry options. We'll start with Neos. Now, we talked about religious wars before, and Neos and VR chat can trigger some of those. Well, VR chat is sort of
instant messenger.
Sort of an instant messenger, yeah. It's very straightforward and well packaged. Neos is a platform. With Neos, you get an integrated scripting system, programming language, modeler, material editor. Just everything is built into the Neos interface. Neos is also positioned as a corporate tool for collaboration. They provide services to let your company exist in a VR space and to have meetings and to do small meetings, big meetings, collaboration. It's really cool the things they do. The first time I went to Neos, I was so frustrated. Oh my God.
Death by menus.
It was death by menus. There were so many options.
So many obtuse menus.
So many. Oh my God. But I figured it out. And it was super cool. We just started building things just right there. We were building mountains. We were putting models of ourselves around. And we're not programmers, so we didn't do any of the fancy stuff. I hack around with Unity and Blender and stuff, but we're not programmers. But it was still super cool. The problem was there was option paralysis. Everything, every vertex, every texture, every UV position, everything was listed in text, and it made my mind explode. The flexibility and power of Neos is unmatched, if you can handle it.
You gotta stretch.
You got it. Oh, hey, shh. This is a family event.
What? You gotta get a good workout.
I don't even know if people can hear you at that. Let me turn the volume up.
I don't know what you're thinking about stretching, but I mean, you gotta work your
thumbs. Hey. Okay, there we go. They can probably hear you a little ranting now. So that's Neos. Very cool. Also free. Check it out. Okay, let's talk about VR chat, which is where we are right now. I think you wanted to take over at this point, Chicken Noodle?
I did? Oh, this is the part I was supposed to have note cards for. So VR chat is the am I still robot-y?
You are still Protogen head.
Right. Do I sound robot-y?
You will because you're going through my microphone. Okay, here. I'm gonna stop talking.
No. Leave the helmet on. It's great. It's great. VR chat is much more convenient and much easier to use than, say, Neos. Whereas Neos feels like it was made by engineers for engineers and is going for more of a Second Life, very world building sort of environment, which is absolutely awesome if you like doing things like, you know, playing with Legos and stuff like that. VR chat is going for a much broader sort of audience. I mean, that's where we are right now. It's really pretty straightforward. Adding in avatars, you'll want to do that through actually through the VR chat rather than through Steam, although supposedly you can merge the accounts because I think Steam doesn't let you add in aftermarket avatars or something like that. Anyway, but one of the nice things about VR chat is that there are a lot of worlds. Personally, my favorite thing to do in VR chat, other than hanging out with people and chatting, is to mess around with the community labs section of VR chat. That's what this world right here, our little TV world, had started out in. And that's what many of the other furries have their worlds pop up in, because it goes to community labs first as kind of a trial and error thing, and that's sort of a filtering sort of setup for, you know, if things show up and they're very offensive or something like that, then it'll generally get flagged out, and it will never make it to sort of public release where it actually becomes a recognized world. Reveille would have to explain the how the sort of hierarchy of trusted users and all that stuff actually works in here, because I have no idea. But anyway,
Your voice,
yes, and
your voice is normal now.
oh, well, okay, I'll take the helmet off. Give me just 1 second, and I'll poke at the menus. Nobody look. I'm gonna turn into triangles. Hang on, wait. No, I got it in. Wow, we have a lot of avatars in here. So that's a good reason to use the one that you can do that on. There we go. Okay, hang on, I got it. I gotta assert dominance by T-posing. That's what I have been told that is. Actually, it's just calibrating all the little things on my little feet and the other things. It's like I'm wearing hockey pucks and a belt, which is weird. But anyway, right. So the community labs have lots of interesting stuff, because you find kind of all the weird sort of, somebody had a great idea and they made a thing kind of worlds. Those are a lot of fun. What this reminds me of, what VR reminds me of right now, is it's kind of, if you were around for the sort of the era of shareware games on, you know, floppy disks or CDs, or early download games, early flash games, stuff like that on the internet. That's what this reminds me of. It's not been EA'd to death right now. It's not super corporate. You have a lot of people that are just making things just for their own creative, you know, whims. They just want to see what it is. For instance, this world that we have right here is a big weird TV. This world is actually created from a photogrammetry scan that I did of an art piece I made in, oh, that's neat. Hey, you can see the inside of it now. Cool. Hang on, I gotta breathe. Oh my God, I'm out of shape. Too much cheese and beer. Where is the beer anyway? Okay, anyway. So this TV is an actual 3D object. It is a little, like, I think it's a Samsung TV or something. I found it at a junkyard. I had an art class. They were like, hey, make a diorama. So I took and gutted it and built like a thing inside of it in the whole shadow box. And anyway, what I did was I did photogrammetry, and that is just taking a whole bunch of pictures of something all around it, and then you take it and you throw it in a free program called Meshroom, and you just drag a billion files over and you drop it in there and you hit go, and it will sit there and churn through all of the stuff, and eventually it will spit out a model of what it thinks all of those photos would make as a 3D object. In this case, I took pictures all the way around it and inside it, and kind of kept the light level even, and ta-da, it spit out this thing, which was, I think, literally 1 million polygons. Anyway, that is fascinating to me that you can do this, and Tilt Brush is something else that you can make art with and just throw it directly into VR chat with relative ease. I honestly don't know how to do it. Reveille did it, but that doesn't mean it's not easy, because I don't know computers. But it's really neat that I can do something in the 3D realms and then be running around in it and run up to it and touch it and do stuff with it. And now we're giving you a panel from it. Yep. What are you pointing at?
Ignore me.
I don't want to ignore you. I like you.
Oh my God.
Anyway, oh, there's buttons. So VR Chat has a great many worlds in it. Some of them are worlds that you've seen from other video games that might be a questionable copyright, but anyway, people have ported them into this. There's people's renditions of famous places, be them real. At this point, we've been to the Colosseum and we've been to the Eiffel Tower and other things where people have made their versions of them. They can be entirely fantasy. We've been to a giant floating TV in space, a lot of other things. Some of them are really neat. Somebody made Deckard's apartment from Blade Runner, and it's quite a trip to be able to walk into it. And you've seen it in the movies. You've seen it since the 80s or whatever. But now it's there. It's like you can look around. You can look off the balcony and see the flying cars and the smog in the future, and it's kind of like being in LA. But anyway, so some of the interesting worlds that we have up here on the slides are Huey Tanuki's Egg World, which, as it turns out, I don't have a link to, so you're going to have to do that because I forgot to favorite it. I was having too much fun throwing eggs at a planet. Many of you have, where'd the camera go? Oh, there's the camera. Hello. Many of you have seen Cooper Tom's various worlds. The Yugo dealership is absolutely hilarious. The mall is fantastic. My poor little laptop dies every time I go there because there's so many people piled into it, just living the 80s. Attention to detail is fantastic in there. The tail-based dance world is amazing. There are a great many dance clubs in VR Chat, and my hope is that there will be enough room for VR Chat and Neos to exist side by side, because I don't think one really needs to kill the other one. I think that they really can cater to different aspects of just this entire, kind of wonderful VR thing. But yes, there are many dance worlds, lots of dance clubs, lots of live music, lots of streaming events. Those are a lot of fun to go to. I'm going to sit down.
I love dancing. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, the dancing is so much fun. So the Toontown construction site it's like being in a Warner Brothers cartoon or, any of those like classic cartoons. They've got steamrollers, they've got, you can get smushed and get like, I don't know. It's very cartoony. It is very colorful as well. Annie Heat's apartment is another one that's pretty good. That one is surprisingly vast, and also they, I think, have a light version of it now because the other one took a while to load. But what was that convention that we did where they had the synth meet that was there?
Ferality.
Yeah, Ferality. One of the events that I went to was at Annie Heat's apartment, and it was a synth gathering, which is the sort of thing that you will find at many conventions. You will see, let's get all of the horses together. Let's get all the birds together. Let's get all 30 billion of the canines together and all that cool stuff. And they will do that sort of thing for all of these virtual cons, which is fantastic because it's running around here. Normally, I've seen a couple of synths running around, but good Lord, there were like 30 of them there. And then my computer caught on fire. A lot of polygons. You also have a Fur Hub, which is just like it sounds. It is a bicycle hub covered in fur. It doesn't work very good. It gets in the bearings, but also they have portals and stuff there. And it's actually a lot of portals nowadays. But that is a good central location. That's
a lot of
your
avatars
cafe.
too. A lot of avatars.
Oh yeah, they have a lot of avatars there now, which is really cool. And just in the last 6 months or so since we've been there, it's gone from being just kind of a hotel lobby looking area to having, it's got avatars, it's got, I don't know if the secret upstairs area is there anymore. Maybe I shouldn't talk about that. Anyway, but they've got
not a secret anymore.
Oh, well, secret downstairs area is still secret, I think. But anyway, and they've got a dance hall sort of deal. It's a lot of stuff there. Pretty cool. They seem to be updating it. Many of these worlds are constantly updating. I love seeing all the different stuff Huey's done with the different shader worlds and stuff like that. A lot of fun. What else we got? Various Avatar furry worlds. There are a lot of them out there. There's a couple of them that are just people trolling, but usually those get reported and booted. But most of the sort of very furry Avatar worlds are in fact very furry Avatar worlds. They'll have their take on the Avali or the Protogen
or the 40 billion variants of the Shiba Inu models that run around, which I would say a good 99% of them are absolutely hilarious. Those people are crazy. Oh yeah, and then there's Chicken Noodle TV, which I will be very modest about, is actually the best thing on VR chat. But it's, I mean, just look at it. It's amazing. You should probably push a button. There might be another slide.
There probably is, but I gotta make my camera stay here. Hold on.
Oh, stay.
There we go. Okay.
Stay.
Oh, that's not.
If I lean in here, I can probably swish heavily.
Oops. No. Stop it.
Resources. Well, we used
Back,
polygons.
walk this
There
way.
were some textures.
Chicken Noodle, move forward.
What?
Standing on the camera.
I'm standing on it. And if I was doing that, you'd see my.
Oh my god.
See my, oh my god! I'm gonna fall over the couch.
You're 4 polygon feet.
Hey, there's 6. It's right. 5 and 6 are right there.
Anyway, here's a list of resources that you can use if you're interested on seeing if you're interested in finding anything. They're not necessarily specific to VR chat. VRC Mods is a lot of free stuff from the community. Avatars, props, particle systems, materials, just sound effects, dances, emotes, an unreal amount of things that you can just download for free and integrate into what you're doing. Gumroad.com, great site for paid for resources, not just avatars, but again, props. Let's stand over here. So I'm looking at there we go, that's better. Props, paintbrushes for Substance Painter, fantastic stuff there. Booth PM is very similar. Booth PM is sort of Asian market. So get Google Translate ready, but some of the stuff on there is so amazing. If you've ever seen those photos that have depth of field to them, that comes from a camera off a Booth. A lot of really cool technical stuff on Booth, just amazing things. DeviantArt, a lot of people don't know about DeviantArt. There's a big culture of MMD creators, Miku Miku Dance, which is a simple models that you see a lot of meme dances with them. But using Blender and the thing called the CATS plugin, you can convert any MMD into an FBX and bring it right into Unity for VR chat. So many things on there for that. Blender.com, of course. Blender, one of the most infuriating pieces of software on the planet. Unity.com for the Unity editor, which is free and you use to create worlds, to create avatars, animations, etc., etc. TurboSquid.com and CGTrader.com are both community sites for purchasing assets. They come in multiple formats. They can be outrageously expensive. They can also be free. These are places for commercial quality sorts of stuff. Substance 3D, Substance Painter is what a lot of us do our textures in. It's a 3D program that lets you pull in your model and then you paint directly onto the model in a very sort of Photoshop-y sort of method. It's owned by Adobe, so we're hoping it stays good. Sketchfab and Thingiverse, 3D printers might know these. You can or 3 people with 3D printers might know these. You can take anything off of there, put that in Blender, take your MTL or your G code, and make a model and bring it into VR chat. Oh dear.
I'm fine. Go on.
And we talked about the dancing and such earlier. That's a link to the Tailbase Discord. One of my favorite things in this game is getting out there and just moving it. And there's some great, you pull up people pull up Twitch streams, bring it into a big room. It's like a giant club. It's insane. The feeling of being at a rave it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So there's that. Let's go to if I can click it. My phone's in the way.
Yeah, click
There
it.
we go. Shush. I don't know if you can actually see the top. You cannot see the top. Let's fix that.
We could just cut off the bottom.
If I could find my phone. Oh, there it is. I keep saying my phone. Inside of VR chat, you get a phone that you basically take selfie pictures with. There we go. If anybody's interested in reaching out, has any questions, need any advice, anything, there's our contact information. And at this point, we've got about 5 minutes left. I think we should just do questions and questions.
Okay.